So folks, today we got an update about Blade. There's a lot happening with the Blade in MCU. Blade has been removed from Marvel Studio and Disney's release date scheduled for 2025. This makes us think, could Wesley Snipes actually come back to play Blade? Now this isn't a huge surprise because all the changes happening in MCU right now. Last project have been delayed, the scripts have been rewritten, and there's been a lot of confusion around Blade. The movie went through many changes, different writers, different directors, and now it's pushed back even more. But there is one thing, this might not be actually a bad thing. Sure, Blade's not coming when we hope, but that's probably because Marvel wants to get it right. Kevin Feige, the boss of Marvel Studios, has said many times that they won't make a Blade movie until they have the perfect script. Blade has faced many problems during its production. COVID-19 strikes in the film industry and trouble with getting the story and crew right. So instead of pushing it out a bad movie to just meet the deadline, Marvel is taking its time. That's a good thing because we don't want a rushed or weak Blade movie. They just need to, because we already had a masterpiece with Blade, with Wesley Snipes back in 90s and 2000s. So it's not something that people want to see they mess it up, okay? There's also talk that the supernatural side of the MCU, including characters like Blade, is being delayed. Blade was supposed to tie in characters like Black Knight, who was introduced in End of Eternals. Marvel was planning to build a supernatural team with Blade as their leader, but now those plans might have to wait until Avengers Secret Wars, which is coming up soon. In fact, Marvel reworking a lot of things like Captain America Brave New World and Thunderbolts. Those movies went through big script rewrites and reshoots to make them better. So it's not just the Blade that's been affected. The reason Blade is being delayed might be a good thing. Is that like right now, the MCU has a lot going on with the characters like Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and the Avengers. Adding Blade to the whole thing is gonna be different because supernatural side of MCU is something that still didn't shape. So they wanna start it perfectly. So in order to start it perfectly, they are taking their time. It has its good side and bad side, but for Marvel, they care about good side right now, and they are trying to risk it the way that makes sense for them. Pushing a Blade back means they can focus on the characters like stories we already have, like Shang-Chi, Thor, and others that need to be wrapped up before we move on the next big phase of the MCU. Once the current storylines are done, Marvel will probably introduce Midnight Science Team, which includes Blade, and makes them a bigger part of story after Secret Wars. Right now, it just makes sense to wait. Blade and his supernatural storyline would fit better in Phase 7, where Marvel is going to introduce other teams like X-Men and Fantastic Four. Bringing all in these new teams along with Midnight Suns would make it more sense after the big multiverse story ends with the Secret Wars. Also, keep an eye out for how Marvel handles its supernatural stories moving forward. There is a lot of potential, but it might not be coming soon, but when it does, it's likely to be bigger and better than we imagined. Marvel knows how to keep fans waiting, but it usually pays off in the end. So let's hope the same happens with Blade. Also, let's not forget, this still gives Marvel a chance to properly introduce Blade to the MCU. As I mentioned earlier in this video, having a character like Blade in the supernatural side of the MCU, which we haven't had too much movies about it, and we didn't see much of it. Introduce it with Blade, but with the big movie can affect the whole phase, affect the whole side like for a long time, because the first impression, which will be the Blade movie, is very important. So it totally makes sense that they want to come up with something perfect. This break might also allow them to build up the supernatural elements of the MCU more slowly, laying the groundwork for a proper Midnight Science team. As I said, this could include characters like a Ghost Rider or even more mystical beings that fans have been hoping to see. So yeah, basically the only thing that we can just hope around, like they just have a script right. And the only problem that I had, and I talked about on the other videos about Blade, the fact that Mahershala Ali Blade is getting a bit like, it's gonna be like kind of not really middle-aged or even young character for Blade. Back in the day when we had Wesley Snipes was in his fresh years with jacked and like shredded body, was like moving around, used to do some stunt himself. But now having him, someone like Mahershala Ali in his 50s, I'm not saying there's no one in his 50s that can do it. Like we have Hugh Jackman who did like Wolverine better than I think most of the actors who've done it in the Deadpool and Wolverine, the shape he had, everything he did. But still, maybe there's a mindset behind for Hugh Jackman and there's a genetic behind Hugh Jackman. We don't know if Mahershala Ali really can done that, especially since this movie is getting delayed year year after year after, and getting prepare yourself for that role in that case, that can be kind of tricky at this point for him. So I hope they can just do it right. I like Mahershala Ali, the way he acts, the like he play, he's as an actor, as I said. So I don't know, I'm just kind of excited for this Supernatural. I hope they can like really do it right. That was today's video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, and if I didn't mention anything in this video, I'll be happy to hear it from you. See you next time.
What is that?
1300 AD, they called this man the hero from the sky. He was prophesied to have destroyed the evil